Hello, this is Mrs. Ross, and this is Lesson 8, Fractions and Percents. Also, we're going to talk about the inch ruler, and this is the practice set for Lesson 8. You can find it on page 57 of your Saxon Course 2 textbook. Let's get started. There we go. Having a little trouble there. This says, what fraction of this circle is not shaded? So what we do is we have the part over the whole. So how many total parts do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be in the whole. And how many are not shaded? 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be my answer to number 1. Or I'm sorry, to A. And then the percent of this circle that's not shaded. So percent is per 100. You'll hear me say it every single time. So it's something over 100. And 3/5 is actually on a chart that we have in our class. Let me see if I can find it. So I went and found this chart on the internet. It doesn't, it looks a little bit like what we've got in the classroom. So you should be able to see a poster on the wall that has fraction, decimal, percent of different common numbers. And this one, where am I at? Okay, so B asks what percent of this circle is not shaded. And if we look at our fraction, decimal, percent, 1/5 is 20%. So I have 3/5. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply 3 times 20%, which is 20 per 100, which is 60%. And that's what 3/5 is. The chart in the classroom actually, I think, has 3/5. And then it says half of a whole is what percent? So if we come back down to our chart, we know that 1/2 is 50%. So that's what they're looking for here. Okay, let's change colors, and it says draw and shade circles to illustrate each fraction, mixed number, or percent. So let's see. I have a circle and it's going to have 3 total parts, and then 2 of those parts are going to be shaded. Okay? And then here I have 75%. Let's see if I can find out what that is as a fraction. So that's 3/4 as a fraction. So I have a circle that has 4 total parts, and then 3 of those parts are shaded. And then this last one, I have 2 whole circles that are shaded because it's 2 3/4. And then the very last one is cut into 4 total parts, and 3 are going to be shaded. So let me shade these 2. Okay? All right, points G and H represent what mixed numbers on these number lines, and H is on the next page, so no freaking out. So G is here, and if I count from 3 to 4, I have 1, 2, 3. So between 3 and 4, and that's the same as between 4 and 5, it goes by thirds. Okay, so this is going to be 1/3, this is 2/3, and then this is the next whole number. Okay, so here I have 3. I have 3 and 1/3. I have 3 and 2/3, and then I have 4. Oops. So here I have 4 and 1/3, 4 and 2/3, and 5. So this is our answer here. All right, same concept here. Let's see how many we have between 2 whole numbers. So between 13 and 14, I have 1, 2, 3, and then that's my 4th one. So each one of these is a 4th. So I have 1/4, I have 2/4, which is 1/2. I have 3/4, and then I have the next one. So I have 13, 13 and a 4th, 13 and, so 13 and 2/4 is actually 13 and 1/2, because we can divide the top and the bottom by 2. And then 13 and 3/4. It's kind of squished there, but 13 1/4 is my answer. Okay, find XZ to the nearest 16th of an inch. And I just noticed that our inch ruler only goes to eighths. So let me grab one that has 16ths. Okay, so I found this inch ruler, and you'll see that inches is here on the bottom, and millimeters, centimeters is on the top. I'm going to rotate it. I don't want to freak you guys out. I want to show you as I rotate it so that we can move it and use it. Okay. So let's see if it'll let me draw on this. Here we go. So what you see here is from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. You know, it's upside down. And then you see this is 1/4, this is 1/2, this is 3/4. Okay? The next size that you're going to see that's large is eighths. So my green are the eighths. Okay, so there's 1, this is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 eighths, right? So my green is eighths. My blue is fourths. And I'm about to get crazy with some 16ths. Oh, that's wide. Let me fix that. Don't know what happened there. Okay. 16ths. So the 16ths are the smallest ones we're going to have. So here's a 16th. You'll see each one of these. And you see how some of them have even 2 or 3 colors involved? That's because 2 16ths is 1/8. That's how fractions work. Okay. So let's see if we have 16 of these red marks. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Awesome. So this is 1 16th, 2 16ths or 1/8, 3 16ths, 4 16ths or 1/4, 5 16ths, 6 16ths or 2 goes in the 6, 3, 2 goes in the heart. 3/4. I was going to get there. So 4 16ths, 5 16ths, 6, or this should, no. This should be 6, 7, 8 16ths because this is 1/2. Okay? You can see it gets a little heady, especially when I try and do it in my head. I really should be writing all of this down. But I wanted to kind of show you what those were. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this, and we're going to complete I, which is find XZ to the nearest 16th of an inch. So let me erase. Okay. I'm going to leave our little... Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's go back here. Actually, let's just see if I can move this. Nope, it's still trying to draw. Okay. Let's see if I can move this up. Won't let me? Why won't it let me move it up? It's not going to let me move it up, I don't think. Hold on. I'm going to pause it and see if I can figure it out. Awesome. Okay, I figured it out. Took me a minute, and let me see if it's going to let me do it. So I've grabbed it, and I need to know XZ. So I'm going to put my, since I have it flipped, I'm going to put my 0 on Z. And you can see that it actually looks like it goes almost to 3 inches. So let me unclick that and see if I can write on this. So it goes to, let's say here, let's say to this one right here. So we have 1 inch, 2 inch, and then all of these are 16ths. So it would be 2 and 15 16ths would probably be 2 and 15 16ths. Okay. So let me see. If you have any questions about the inch ruler, I'd love to answer. It is not easy. It is not something that is natural. So whenever your book asks you to measure stuff, If we're in the classroom, we'll actually grab a ruler and measure it, but if you're at home and you don't have a ruler, that's understandable too. Let me see if I can move this out of our way to do the next problem. Okay, so we're on J. Jack's ruler was divided into 1/8 of an inch, which means he didn't have the very smallest portions of his ruler. Assuming the ruler is used correctly, what's the greatest possible measurement error that can be made with Jack's ruler? Express your answers as a fraction of an inch. So this is something you may not be asked again, or you'll be asked in science, because it talks about the accuracy of a measurement. Okay, and the theory is that your measurement can only be half as accurate as your smallest increment. For example, here we have 1/8. They're saying, well, our measurement can't be to the 1/8, it can only be to the 1/4, would be how accurate it is. Okay, if our measurement was to the 16th, it would only be accurate to the 1/8. It's a little bit difficult to understand, and I'm not exactly sure as we'll ever come across this again, but that's the explanation, and I'm willing to discuss it with you guys. Finally, K, arrange these fractions in order from least to greatest. Okay, so we saw this on our inch ruler. We know that our 16ths are very small. We know that so that's probably the smallest. We know that our 1/8ths are going to be the next biggest, right? And then our 1/4ths and our halves. And we can see this in the inch ruler. There's other ways to do this problem, but I think that's what they want you to look at. So I hope that you guys have a great day, and if you have any questions, please let me know.